What happens when one of country music's biggest stars walks into what should be a friendly, daytime TV chat and ends up at the center of one of the most uncomfortable moments ever aired on The View? This is the story of how Carrie Underwood, the queen of grace, faith, and staying far away from controversy, found herself in a live television clash so intense that she actually got up and walked off set. Now, before we get into how it all went down, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because whether you agree with Carrie or not, this story says a lot about where we are as a culture and how even the calmest conversations can turn explosive when personal values come under fire. So, picture this. Carrie Underwood steps onto the set of The View. She's smiling, radiant as ever, waving to the audience. She's there to promote her latest project, something wholesome, upbeat, the kind of thing she's known for. The audience is excited, the energy is warm. The co-hosts greet her, Whoopi gives her that big, friendly grin, and everything feels easy. They start light. Some laughs about her kids, a few questions about her husband, Mike Fisher. Carrie talks about balancing family and music, about finding time for what matters. The audience is eating it up. She's relaxed, charming, exactly the Carrie everyone expects to see. Whoopi starts the conversation off about her music, how her sound has evolved, how she continues to top charts after all these years. Carrie's talking about her creative process, how she stays inspired, what her fans mean to her. It's smooth, genuine, completely uncontroversial. Then Sarah Haynes jumps in. She asks about motherhood, about being a working mom in the spotlight. Carrie gives this heartfelt answer about faith, family, and staying grounded. It's the kind of answer that makes people nod and smile. Everything is going great. Too great. Because if you watch The View, you know that when things start going too smoothly, someone's about to shake it up. And that someone is Joy Behar. Joy leans forward. You can always tell when she's about to stir the pot. She's got the trademark look and a polite smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. And she says, "Carrie, I want to talk about something that's been making headlines. You've been pretty vocal lately about certain issues, and I think our audience would love to hear your perspective." Carrie nods, still smiling. But if you look closely, something changes in her body language. She sits up straighter, her smile stiffens just a bit. She says, "Sure, I'm happy to talk about anything." Joy continues, "You've spoken about traditional values, about faith, and about how you're raising your children. Some people are saying you're out of touch with where the country is heading. How do you respond to that?" The audience goes quiet. You can feel the tension shift in the room. This isn't a question about music anymore. Carrie takes a breath and answers carefully. "Well, Joy, I don't think having values makes someone out of touch. I think everyone has the right to raise their children according to what they believe is right. I'm not telling anyone else how to live their life." It's calm, it's respectful. But before she can even finish, Joy jumps in. "But you are using your platform to promote a certain lifestyle, aren't you? You have millions of followers, young girls who look up to you. Don't you think you have a responsibility to be more progressive?" Carrie's smile tightens again. "I have a responsibility to be authentic," she says. "I'm not going to pretend to believe something I don't just because it might be more popular. That's not who I am." Sunny Hostin tries to jump in, maybe to ease the tension. But Joy isn't done. She's on a roll. "So, you think it's authentic," Joy says, "to tell women what they should do with their bodies, to tell people who they should love?" That's when Carrie's face flushes. Her voice rises slightly. "I have never told anyone who they should love, Joy. Never." "That's not fair," Joy shoots back. "But you've supported organizations that do exactly that. You can't have it both ways, Carrie. You can't say you love everyone and then support policies that hurt people." And now the whole energy in the room changes. The other hosts are shifting uncomfortably. Alyssa Farah Griffin looks like she wants to step in but doesn't know how. Whoopi's fidgeting, glancing toward the producers. Carrie leans forward, her tone calm but firm. "I support my faith community and I support organizations that help people. If you're going to reduce everything I do to some political talking point, then you're not interested in having an honest conversation." Joy lets out this short, sharp laugh. Honest conversation? Carrie, you came on this show. You knew we were going to ask real questions. If you can't handle that, maybe you should stick to friendlier interviews. The audience gasps loudly. Whoopi tries to step in. Okay, let's all take a breath here. Broken bar. But it's too late. Carrie shakes her head. I can handle tough questions, Joy. What I can't handle is being misrepresented and attacked for my beliefs. You're not asking me questions. You're accusing me. There's a difference. Joy spreads her hands, her tone sharp but cool. I'm just pointing out the contradictions, Carrie. You say you're about love and acceptance, but your actions say something different. Carrie's voice hardens. You don't know anything about my actions, Joy. You don't know the work I do, the people I help, the conversations I have in private. You see a headline and you think you know who I am. That's the problem with all of this. Nobody wants to actually listen anymore. They just want to tear each other down. Joy fires back. I'm listening right now, Carrie. And what I'm hearing is someone who wants to have it both ways. You want the Christian conservative fans and the mainstream success, but you don't want to be held accountable for the message that sends. And that right there is the breaking point. Carrie stands up, not dramatically, no yelling, no mic drop. She just stands, calm but clearly done. You know what, Joy? She says. I thought I could come here and have a real conversation, but this isn't a conversation. This is an ambush. Joy looks stunned. Carrie, sit down. We're not done here. But Carrie's already unclipping her microphone. I think we are done, she says. I'm not going to sit here and be lectured about who I am by someone who doesn't know me. The studio's in chaos. The audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Producers are panicking off camera. Whoopi stands up, trying to calm things down. Carrie, please, let's take a moment. We can reset this conversation. But Carrie shakes her head. Whoopi, I respect you. I respect this show. But I can't stay here and be disrespected. I came here in good faith, and that's not what this turned into. She looks at Joy. I hope one day you can see people as more than just their political positions. I really do. Then she walks toward the backstage area. Joy calls after her. Carrie, don't walk away from this. Running away doesn't solve anything. Carrie stops at the edge of the set, turns back, and says, I'm not running, Joy. I'm choosing not to engage with someone who's already decided who I am. There's a difference. And with that she walks off. The camera catches the stunned faces of the hosts, the murmuring audience. Joy sitting though with her arms crossed, looking defiant but maybe, just maybe, a little shaken. Whoopi stumbles through, sending the show to commercial. The whole segment lasts less than 10 minutes. But it feels like an eternity. Now here's the thing, what happened in those 10 minutes tells us so much about where we are as a culture right now. Carrie Underwood has spent her entire career being careful, kind, and diplomatic. She doesn't get into public feuds. She rarely comments on politics. Her brand is built on being genuine and gracious. So, for her to reach a point where she stands up and walks off live TV, that's not nothing. Joy, on the other hand, has made her career on confrontation, on saying the things other people are too polite to say. She pushes, she provokes, and sometimes that's exactly what makes The View compelling television. But there's a line between challenging someone and attacking them, and that's what people are debating now. Because depending on who you ask, this was either a case of Joy doing her job, or Joy going too far. Some people say Joy was right. Carrie has made statements about faith and values. She's supported certain causes. If you're going to take those positions publicly, you have to expect to be asked tough questions. That's fair. But others say Joy's questions weren't really questions, they were accusations dressed up as journalism. And that's where it crossed the line. The moment Joy said, "You can't have it both ways," everything shifted. Because that phrase doesn't sound like a question, it sounds like a judgment. It implies hypocrisy. It suggests that Carrie's being dishonest, trying to please everyone. And when someone calls your integrity into question on national television, That's personal. Carrie's response, that's not fair, came straight from the gut. That wasn't media training. That was emotion. Because in her mind, she wasn't being given a fair chance to explain. And then Joy followed it up with the organizations that hurt people comment. Whether you agree with Joy's point or not, that phrasing was explosive. Hurt people, those are fighting words. That's not neutral language. That's a moral accusation. So now you've got two women in completely different worlds trying to talk across a cultural canyon. Joy sees harm, Carrie sees help. Joy sees contradiction, Carrie sees authenticity. And neither one can convince the other that their view of the world is correct. And here's the bigger problem: the view isn't built for nuance. It's built for hot takes and fast reactions. It's a show about strong opinions colliding. So when something this deep and emotional comes up, there's no time or space for the kind of thoughtful back and forth it deserves. The format itself practically guarantees escalation. Joy thought she was doing her job, pressing a celebrity who's been accused of being out of touch. Carrie thought she was being ambushed, accused of hypocrisy and hate in front of millions. And they're both probably sincere. Joy probably left that studio thinking, I held her accountable. Carrie probably left thinking, I stood my ground. Neither one walked away feeling understood. What's fascinating is how this moment reflects something much bigger. We're not even disagreeing about facts anymore. We're disagreeing about what disagreement should look like. Joy thinks calling out contradictions is honesty. Carrie thinks it's disrespect. Joy thinks walking away is weakness. Carrie thinks it's strength. Both are convinced they're standing on principle. The truth is, both have a point. Joy's job is to challenge people in power, even if it makes them uncomfortable. But Carrie's point about misrepresentation is also valid, because there's a difference between asking hard questions and reducing someone to a stereotype. Carrie wasn't wrong to defend her boundaries. She said, I can handle tough questions. What I can't handle is being misrepresented. That's an important distinction, one we often ignore in public conversations. Tough questions are fair. Misrepresentation isn't. When Joy said, you knew we were going to ask you real questions, that line carried a lot of weight. It implied that if Carrie couldn't handle it, she wasn't strong enough. And Carrie heard that loud and clear. Her response wasn't just about defending her beliefs, it was about defending her dignity. And when she stood up and walked away, she was making a choice. Not a dramatic one, but a deeply human one. She chose not to stay in a situation that felt unfair and disrespectful. Think about what that moment must have felt like in real time. The cameras are rolling, the audience is staring. Millions of people are watching. Carrie had to know that walking out would become a headline. She had to know people would say she couldn't take the heat. But she still did it because, in her mind, protecting her peace was more important than saving face. That takes a different kind of strength. And Joy? She probably didn't expect that outcome. In her mind, it was a heated debate, not a personal attack. That's why she called after Carrie, saying, don't walk away. She genuinely thought they were having a spirited discussion, not realizing Carrie had already hit her limit. That right there, that disconnect, is what makes this moment so powerful, because it's not just about Carrie and Joy. It's about all of us. It's about how we talk to each other now. How every disagreement feels like a moral test. How quickly we go from I disagree with you to you're a bad person. Carrie wasn't just defending her beliefs. She was defending her right to be complex. To be a person with faith, family, and opinions that don't always fit neatly into one side or another. And Joy, in her way, was defending accountability, the belief that if you have influence, you have to answer for how you use it. Those ideas don't have to be enemies. But on television, in 10-minute segments, they always are. After the commercial break, Whoopi reportedly came back alone, trying to smooth things over. She said something like, sometimes these conversations get heated, and that's okay. We're all passionate people. But the damage was done. Clips of Carrie walking off flooded social media within minutes. Fans were divided instantly. Some said Joy was a bully. Others said Carrie couldn't handle criticism. The internet did what it always does, picked sides and doubled down. But what's really interesting isn't who was right or wrong. It's what this moment revealed about us. We live in a time when people expect celebrities to take stands, but then attack them when when they do. We want authenticity, but only if it fits our version of the truth. We say we want open conversations, but the second someone says something we disagree with, we shut down or shout them down. Carrie and Joy's clash wasn't just about faith or politics. It was about communication, or the breakdown of it. When Carrie said, "You don't know the work I do, the people I help," she was talking about something we all feel, the frustration of being misunderstood, of having your whole character summed up by one headline or one opinion. And Joy's response, "We can only judge you by your public actions," reflects another truth. When you're in the public eye, your words and choices do have impact, whether you intend them to or not. Both of those perspectives are valid, but the space between them is where empathy usually goes to die. And that's why this moment hit so hard. Because both women were right, and both felt wronged. Carrie walked away not because she couldn't handle pressure, but because she didn't see any good coming from staying. Joy pushed hard not because she wanted to humiliate Carrie, but because she believed in asking hard questions. They just weren't speaking the same language anymore. When you strip away the headlines and the outrage, what you're left with is two people who both thought they were standing for honesty, and both walked away feeling unheard. That's the real story, because if even someone like Carrie Underwood, one of the most composed, beloved, and careful artists in the business, can be pushed to walk off live television, what does that say about how fragile our conversations have become? Maybe it's not about who was right or wrong. Maybe it's about how we've forgotten to talk without tearing each other apart. Carrie said it best before she walked out. Nobody wants to actually listen anymore. They just want to tear each other down. And maybe, just maybe, that's the one line everyone watching needed to hear.